Workers from all over the city head to the start of their workday. Our main protagonist Kinji Ninomiya makes fun of them and continuously laughs at having to work on a rainy day like that. Kinji, investing in a real estate empire, becomes wealthy without ever having to do work. He was able to build 3 buildings in Tokyo City and where he spent his lavish life in a luxury apartment on the top floor. But while he was laughing, suddenly a black portal takes him to another world called Lemuria, which is ruled by creatures. Contrary to fantasy anime, our protagonist is not in an ideal world but is taken as a slave. His working hours are 16 hours a day and he has no week off, plus he can only bathe once a month. One day, he invites his partner Wanib to dinner and proposes a unique opportunity to leave their position as slaves. They ask their boss to descend to the deepest levels of the mine to find more demonite, Lemuria's most precious mineral. Kinji shows them a portal leading to the 3rd floor of the mine and they find plenty of demonite to extract. But in the middle of their adventure, they are attacked by a huge intelligent monster called Rim. This one was about to devour Wanib, but Ninomiya seduces the monster with an incredible proposal. Rim would protect them from other monsters while they are mining demonite. In exchange for this, Kinji would bring him food every day. Rim accepts and changes her form to her true nature, a beautiful demon waifu. His plan is not very good, as Rim eats more than Kinji can afford. They go to the mine and find a magic staff capable of hypnotizing people, so Kinji casts a spell on all his companions to make them work for him. But Rim accidentally breaks the staff and the spell stops, causing all his companions to beat him up. Kinji's boss takes revenge on him by sending him and his noble friend Wanib to Group 8. This group is destined to do the most risky and humiliating tasks in the company. In the middle of his expedition, Wanib is attacked by a monster chest and again it is Kinji who must save him. Despite saving his partner, Kinji is punished by the company director, who forces him to work twice as hard until Wanib recovers. Kinji meets with the stockroom manager, who sends him to carry a package for the scouts of Group 3. Arriving at the dungeon, he encounters Kurz, a Group 3 scout fleeing from a huge mob of killer ants. They return to the stockpile to call for reinforcements, as the ants are rising to the surface. Kinji calls his boss for help, but the boss ignores him, so Kinji devises a plan to survive the attack. He and his group take some valuable magic potions that make them take the shape of ants, so they go unnoticed among them. Kinji observes how the ants work hard to loot the warehouse and do not stop to help their companions who faint from working so hard, so the protagonist begins to convince each ant that they should not be enslaved by the queen ant. Thanks to this, he manages to assemble a revolutionary army among the ants and tries to overthrow the queen. But she becomes enraged and tries to attack Kinji. At that moment, Rim appears and starts chasing the ants to eat them, so the clever protagonist decides to save his companions by giving Rim a piece of meat to calm his hunger. In this way, he looks like a hero in front of the ants and they swear loyalty to him. Later, Wanib returns to work and is surprised when he meets the strange army that Kinji formed. Kinji and Group 3 undergo forced training to improve their combat skills and increase productivity at work. In the middle of one of the tests, Kinji falls to the ground hungry and tries to eat wild plants, but is stopped by Wanib, who tells him that these plants can make you lose your sanity. After being exposed to all kinds of physical and mental tests, Kinji notices that his companions have a strange attitude of acceptance to the mistreatment they receive daily, so he realizes that they are being exposed to brainwashing. After being practically brainwashed for weeks, the employees are now fully indoctrinated into a life dedicated solely to work, and the instructor sends them back to the company. While observing a statue of the company president, Kinji is accidentally pushed by one of his colleagues and the hypnosis is stopped. After this, he beats Wanib back to sanity and they both remember that they ate the wild herb to lose their sanity and become immune to brainwashing. He also reveals that the magicians who were helping the instructor with hypnosis have consumed the wild herb, so they blow up the facility with a bomb. Wanib and Kinji arrive at their new office in Group 3, where they meet Kinushiya, their new supervisor. She blushes at a compliment from Wanib and tries to thank him with a modest punch, but doesn't measure her strength and slams him into the wall. After the doctors take Wanib to the hospital, Shia takes Kinji to the 4th floor door of the mine to test his strength. But after defeating a huge monster, she discovers that Kinji has an ant for a friend and decides to kill him. But he calls Rim, who defeats her with one blow. Then, they capture Shia and take a picture with her to extort money from her, so she won't be able to tell anything about this company. While returning home, the protagonist is intercepted by a woman who threatens to kill him if he doesn't pay his debt within a month. Later, Shia notices that Kinji is worried about something, so he takes him to fight monsters to relieve his stress. In the middle of the hunt, he discovers that Wanib has a great regenerative ability, so he has an idea. Days later, he manages to pay off his debt thanks to the fact that he was able to use Wanib's power to make a monster restoration farm. While celebrating her victory, the edge of the cliff they are standing on starts to crumble and Shia falls. Kinji tries to help her but ends up accompanying her in her fall. In the CEO's office, it is revealed that the CEO set her up to feed a powerful monster that dwells in the depths of the mine. Shia tries to defeat the monster with all his might, but Kinji insists that they must get out of there with a transporter crystal. Seeing that she wants to stay and fight and use the crystal only on him, the protagonist throws the crystal at the monster and sends it to the surface. The monster wreaks havoc throughout the city and destroys everything in its path as it returns to the bottom of the mine to destroy Shia. Kinji waits for him in his cave, where he planted a series of traps to immobilize him so that Shia can deliver the final blow. When they were about to defeat him, the monster begins to attack from all directions and Shia must take refuge with Kinji. He tries to convince Shia that the company only sees her as a puppet, but manages to make her see reason by telling her about her father. She confesses to him that her father was a lot like him, so together they manage to defeat the monster. Before dying, the beast tries to devour Kinji, but at that moment Rim appears to save him. While they are thinking about dinner, the black hole at the beginning transports the protagonist and his waifu to another dimension. Kinji wakes up in another world called Marcia, where he is greeted by a strange waifu named Ranga who does not know how to explain to him what is going on. To clear up his doubts, an old man named Zazel appears and tells him that he was brought to Marcia to free them from the oppression that the people receive. He brings him in front of the crowd, where he is presented as Lord Messiah. But when he refuses to help them, Zazel convinces him by telling him that he will be returned to his world if he can defeat Lord Demon. Before leaving for their new adventure, the group accepts Ranga's request to be part of the team. Later, Ranga makes a pass at Kinji, but Kinji discovers that she is not a 100% waifu. Upon surfacing, he discovers that Marcia is not an alternate world, but is Emuria in the future. On the way to Lord Demon's castle, Ranga tells Kinji that the world was subdued by Bells, the president of the Reizaha company he used to work for. Upon arrival, they discover that this is not the Demon Lord's castle, but that of the Ant General. They are captured by the security guard, who takes them to General Ant's office. Upon arrival, the general introduces himself as Ant A, the ant that Kinji had helped earlier. He feeds them a feast and tells them that Bells subdued the humans to monster rule. While they were talking, a human comes running up and berates General Ant, telling him that he can't stand the way he exploits humans anymore. Hearing how little General Ant exploits humans, he offers to help make his slaves more productive. Quickly, Kinji changes the kind of work system that Ant had and the humans become much more efficient. While relaxing in the hot springs, Kinji confesses to the group his intentions to take the place of the higher-ups in the Demon Lord's army. But as he spoke, he was being watched by 3 generals who begin to devise plans to prevent Kinji from moving up the ranks any further. Later, Ranga has a strange dream in which it is revealed that he is a descendant of Bells. Kinji is finally able to meet with Lord Demon, but upon arrival, he gets a big surprise. Lord Demon reveals that she is the dragon Kinji had defeated before being sent to the future. He also explains that she is Rim's sister and that she was created due to Rim's lack of responsibility in deciding to live on the surface with Kinji. He then asks the protagonist to take it upon himself to save the world from the clutches of the evil Reizaha Corporation, who have managed to combine technology and magic to conquer the world. He accepts and Lord Demon opens a portal to the past. Upon returning, they meet again with the rest of the group and meet at Shia's house to explain everything that has happened. Shia puts Kinji and Wanime through hard training to improve their combat skills, but after failing many tests, they realize that Kinji doesn't belong to that world, so he doesn't possess magical powers. Kinji is looking for a way to be able to carry out his plan but is frustrated to notice that his only ability is to lead the group and that he is of little use in battles. As Ranga and Rim won't stop playing with a gun that doesn't work, he gets angry and takes them away. But at that moment, the gun begins to emanate magic and announces that Kinji is its new master. Later, the protagonist tests the effectiveness of his new weapon, which is very powerful, but he must recharge its energy with the magic he finds around, so he absorbs the clothes of everyone present and leaves them in their underwear. The group arrives at the door of a strange dungeon on floor 3 and is attacked by a horde of zombies. After converting one of the scouts, the horde re-enters the dungeon and the group chases after realizing that Kinji is also not among them. Upon entering, they realize that they are not zombies, but company employees who are under a hypnosis spell. They inflict themselves on each other and mimic their behavior, but after being discovered, Ranga manages to destroy the painting that kept them under the spell and the slaves are freed. Then, Rim makes use of his keen sense of smell to track down Kinji, who had been kidnapped by the magician behind the hypnosis plan. He explains that he wanted to make the world experience the same thing he had experienced in the past, but upon learning that Reizaha was already doing the same thing as him, he manages to rest in peace. The group helps some explorers who were being chased by monsters, and they tell him that they are locked in level 4 since the entrance to level 5 and the exit to level 3 have collapsed. At that moment, Queen Ant transformed into a human appears carrying Rim's sister in her arms and explains to them that the cave is linked to Rim's sister's state of mind. Rim does his best to help his sister, even offering her his own food. When she gets better, Rim gives her sister a new name, Sky. As they choose what to eat, Sky begins to experience a strange pain that reverberates through the cave. Inside floor 5, Kinji and his team help the explorers who had been trapped inside the dungeon to escape. Aluz, the squad leader, admires Kinji's leadership skills, so he puts his team at the protagonist's disposal. Together they advance to the end of floor 6, where they find the precious treasure Belza had been searching for. Kinji pretends to go to the front so that none of his companions get hurt. But in reality, it was a strategy to get hold of the artifact and obtain the incredible power to control the dungeon's natural energy. Thanks to this, he is able to overthrow Belza and start an impressive corporate empire. Ranga and Belza meet outside a bar, and Belza tells him that he must surrender to Kinji. After arguing with Ranga, Belza finds she is resumed and devises a new plan to get revenge on Kinji. Ninomiya is arrested by the authorities, who accuse him of illicitly enriching himself and monopolizing the entire mining industry. Belza was able to carry out his plan thanks to his manipulation of Shia, so she explains to him the business model that Kinji used to grow his company. He is sentenced to the death penalty by the authorities, who constantly torture him for interrogation. When it looked like Belz was going to get away with it, Kinji's friends carry out the plan he had left them in case of emergency, and manage to get him out of jail, as well as appointing him CEO of Reizaha. They had invested a large part of the company's money to buy shares, which gave them the power to put whoever they wanted as CEO of the company. Kinji appears along with Sari, the policewoman who had been torturing him, and Shia, who reveals that the contract Kinji had with Reizaha allowed him to be president of the company. As the days go by, Kinji's friends think he will go back to Japan in search of new goals, so they throw him a farewell party. But he clears up the misunderstanding and explains that his new goal is to conquer all the existing dungeons so that his company can continue to grow. Before setting out on his journey, he returns to the place where it all began and collects his lucky coin. The end. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and click the bell icon to get new anime recaps every day.